If something never gets old, then it's always fresh and exciting. This song never gets old.
Hello, hello. Better English with Dan.
Hi.
How are you doing today?
Fine, thank you very much. How are you?
I'm doing fabulous. So we are here as part of the Learning Outside the Box with Instagram blog series, which is a blog series on English Outside the Box's learning blog. And it's highlighting how powerful Instagram can be for learning English and all of the different ways a student like you watching can benefit from learning English. So I created this blog series by finding accounts that I think, we're doing something really unique or we're doing something that stood out to me. And Better English stood out to me for so many reasons.
Yay!
Mainly the fact that I was rolling on the floor laughing at the videos that you post and just thinking like, that is such a good expression, So take it away. Why don't you tell us a little bit about you and Better English?
First of all, thank you, Dan, for asking me along to your blog, and I'm honoured to be here. Thank you very much. Very kind. Yeah, I started it, I think, 5 months ago. And the initial reason really was I was just curious. I'd asked a friend and said, I'll ask them, do you think that you could teach English on Instagram? And they said, no. And I kind of at the time thought, oh, okay. And I forgot about it. But then it kind of came back and it was just in my mind, like, I wonder if you can. I wonder if you can. And then I thought, there's only one way to find out. And so I tried. And pretty much right from the start, even in the first week, at that point, I wasn't putting my face on there. If you go down to the bottom, it's just like little cards, little pictures with some words on. And I was just talking over the top. But just the fact that it was a native speaker, it took off kind of almost immediately. I had like hundreds of people I can't remember, but like hundreds of people within a few weeks. And it was constantly surprising and shocking. I was constantly going, I cannot believe what's happening with this. And like I say, it happened almost from really the first day. It just sort of like seemed to click.
Well, absolutely. What made you change from doing the original graphics with a voiceover to putting that mug up on the screen?
Basically, people saying, all my lovely followers, the people who really sort of like, seem to care and really are interested and happy to see my posts, them going, you should put your ugly face on there, teacher. They didn't say ugly, but you should put your face on there, teacher. We need to see your mouth move, teacher. And they asked me in a really nice way. And I thought, if students are going to improve their pronunciation, they need to see, it's true. So it's kind of from like a pedagogical point of view, but also, who cares? I'm not really, I haven't got time to be shy and like, let's do it. Well, I didn't really have any worries about it. And I just sort of like spoke to the camera and yeah, but really it was because I was asked to by my followers. And I thought, I hadn't thought of it, but they gave me the idea. And that's happened so much since I began.
Nice. And so what types of things are you teaching on Instagram?
I've always tried to pick, people sometimes write, is this useful? Do people really say this? And I would never dream of teaching something that people didn't use so I try to teach phrasal verbs, idioms, maybe just a single word sometimes, like a little expression that's very typical of the kind of language that we use. And that, if anything, is the hardest thing. You're thinking of things, A, that are right, B, that I can kind of explain, that I can use like in a comedy way or a fun way in 15 seconds. It's the idea process that's tricky, but it's usually phrasal verbs, idioms, expressions, single words. I've played with other things. There's been a little word in the news section, a current affairs section, but nothing seems as popular as just sort of like everyday kind of colloquial expressions, informal expressions.
Yes, which is something that a lot of learners in my experience of teaching as well want. They want the things that are useful, not necessarily informal, but just things that are used that they'll hear on TV and movies, or they can use on the street.
And it's nice that, I mean, of course, not every time, but, you know, a few times students have said, they've typed underneath, I heard the thing that you did, somebody said it on TV, and that's really rewarding. It's really nice when it does work, you know. I mean, it is really relevant. And I went into Instagram thinking, oh, it'll just be like some fun thing to do, but it's actually teaching. It really is teaching. And I didn't really expect that at first, that people say, thank you, teacher, just like at the end of a lesson, they say, thank you, teacher. It's very interesting. You're teaching me a lot, you know, and I write it all down and I try to use it. And that's a real bonus. I feel, well, I felt that it would just be fun videos, but in fact, it is really teaching, and that's makes it more rewarding for me.
Yeah. So that makes me think of the next question, a question that will be really useful for people reading this blog post or watching this video is, if I am a non-native English speaker and I want to improve my English with @BetterEnglish on your Instagram, what do I need to do?
Beautiful. It's a great question. There's so many different ways that you could approach it, really. There's normally a few words at the top or a little bit of a definition, but it's not usually word for word everything, as I say. So you can try to work out what it is by just maybe trying to write down the words or write down the phrase. That would be really useful. Of course, there's the expression itself. There's also the intonation of how I deliver it, because I always speak kind of naturally and try not to be stilted or try not to sound like a robot. I try to sound normal. There's the words themselves. They could try to put them into sentences. They could try to use them, listen out for them when they're watching the TV. You know, we say use it or lose it. So students really should try to sort of incorporate these things into their speaking or their writing, or that's it, I think.
What do you think about students trying to make their own videos utilizing your content? So mocking your video or kind of recreating your scene, but them using the language.
I would be so thrilled. And I think that I've asked people before, or people have said, why don't you do this? And I say, why don't you do that? Or, you know, sometimes they say it's either a request or they want me to rephrase it or do it again. And I encourage students to do that. I think you do have to be a little bit brave, or not really not care too much. I think it would be so fantastic, and I would be the first person to rush in to A, follow them, B, congratulate them, and C, help them as well. You know, I would try to mentor them. I think there are students who invest a lot in Better English, and I always try to give it back. I try to answer as many people as I can. I listen to their advice and try to take on board. I feel kind of responsible a little bit as a teacher, you know, for these people. And if anyone was brave enough to bite the bullet, I'll write that down. I'll do a video about that.
Okay.
If anyone was brave enough to do their own video, I would be fully supportive and help them as much as I could. It's a fantastic idea, Jen.
I'm always here for you. What is the biggest challenge of this 15-second limit?
There's strangely with the 15 seconds, there's so many different ways that you can approach it. Although it's only 15 seconds, there's 1,000 different. You put the words in first or the words in later. You do explain the word or you don't explain the word. All of that kind of thing. I really enjoy that. The creativity of creating the 15 seconds. The real challenge is finding the phrase. Once I've found that phrase, once I've got it, then my mind just goes crazy and I think of like borrowing my kids' bags and painting my face and putting food all over me and all those stupid things. I love all that, you know, and it's the actual creative process is fine. It's getting the spark and the trigger of, I can go, honestly, look for like 40 minutes, 50 minutes an hour, just thinking, no, 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 when I've got a list of kind of like phrasal verbs or idioms, or so I say it's that thing of like actually pinpointing what I want to do. I can always usually end up with some idea or other, and some of them I think, oh, it's strange. Some of them I think, oh, this is going to be fantastic. People are going to love this, and it's kind of, And then there's other ones where I think, you know, the opposite. I think, well, I've finished, and it's okay, and people go crazy for it. You know, I think maybe, you know, it's surprising what people prefer or like, or some of my most popular videos have not necessarily been the ones I thought would be popular.
What has been, maybe it's the same, maybe it's different. What has been your favorite video, your favorite 15-second lesson, and what do you think has been the most popular?
I think the most popular one probably is where a ball smashes me in the face. The expression is out of the blue.
If something happens out of the blue, then it's unexpected. That came out of the blue.
I was thinking about, you know, how could we do how could there be a shock about maybe a balloon bursting or something like that? But then I said to my daughter, throw a ball at me, throw it at me. And I began the video, and she threw it really softly.
Yeah.
Just sort of like, you know, just very slow. I said, no, you know, you've got to really, you've got to really throw it. You know, this has got to be a shock. She really threw it.
Oh, nice. So
and
you have a little assistant.
it took my head off. But my favorite one, I've got, I mean, there's a few that I like, but like, you know, my favorite one hopefully will be my next one. I mean, I want to, you know, really hit the nail on the head, you know, really sort of I keep going forward. So there's so many that I like. There's so many I've really enjoyed making. But the next one hopefully will be the best one, you know, my favorite one.
Lovely. Anything you want to add?
Well, I mean, again, thank you to you, Jen, for giving me this opportunity to speak for longer than 15 seconds.
You went crazy.
I can't stop. Once I'm let out of the Instagram box, I've escaped.
Yeah.
But I'd to say, I mean, I say it anyway, but like, you know, thank you to all the people that followed me, all the support that I've had and the encouragement. And there have, of course, been times where I've just thought, I can't do it, or, you know, a post isn't so popular, or I'm not happy with it. And people are always so encouraging and so supportive. And I know, you know, I can tell they genuinely mean it. And it means a great deal to me. I care about it, you know, a lot. It's very important to me. And, you know, I hope people will stick with it and keep learning English. And I hope that I can keep people happy and learning. So all I really want to say is just like thank you to anyone who has ever looked at, liked, or commented any of my posts.
Yay. Nice. Yeah. Alrighty. Well, then we will use, you know, that lovely thank you as a goodbye.
Yep.
So again, I am Jennifer with English Outside the Box at JenESL760, and we have
me, Dan, at the moment at Better English on Instagram.
So don't be shy, say hello, and take Dan's advice. Interact, comment, like, upload your own videos. You know, use this Instagram to learn English, or in the best way that you can, I should say. So you can see all of the information of how to read this full blog post in the comment or in the description below. And we wish you a happy day.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.